What's good, y'all? Elite Live Streams. We back with another one. How you guys doing out there? Welcome to another live stream. I hope you guys are having a great week. It's Thursday over here. It's been a busy week for me, so I've been trying to, make sure I'm still staying relevant, but I'm also still focused on the money. So of course we got to make sure that's comes first. You know what I'm saying? But um, this is going to be kind of a different topic for today. Definitely one that I've kind of built my channel around, which is a lot of mental health and men's mental health specifically. And so I wanted to kind of speak on this because, but I kind of wanted to speak on this because it was something that came up recently, right, with the passing of Rondale Moore. And it really, really hit me because we've been seeing this more and more and more. And it seems like nobody's really talking about it. It seems like no one really cares. It seems like it's kind of one of those things that just kind of fly right under the radar, but silently, right? Silently, it is a huge problem. And it's something that I think we need to really start thinking about and really start to bring towards the consciousness of what is happening in our world, specifically with young men and also older men. You know what I'm saying? It's very, very sad what we are starting to see with men's mental health and the deterioration. And not only that, the covert kind of like shunning of us talking about these topics, right? I totally understand that, these are not popular topics. These are very, very uncomfortable topics to speak on. But from a personal standpoint, these are topics that are directly something that I have been through. And I feel like it is a part of my purpose to be here on YouTube, to be here on social media, to speak on these type of topics that are not talked about, and unfortunately, I understand that, this will not probably be my most popular video. This will probably be, one of my more not watched videos, but I felt like when I did the live stream about John Brinkus, when he had just recently harmed himself, I thought it was important to do that stream. So this stream, I feel the same exact way. I don't really care about, reaching 1 million people with this. I just want to reach as many people as I can to help prevent them from doing something harmful to themselves and also to their families. This is bigger than me. And I felt a certain level of purpose to speak on this topic because I felt so compelled and so connected to what happened to brother Rondale Moore. You know what I'm saying? I understand what it feels like to be under pressure. I understand what it feels like to feel like no one cares, And it's been a really unfortunate situation to kind of witness from an outside perspective, just because I wish that he had people around him who were there to let him know how important he was, and that one decision can affect the rest of a lot of people's lives, not just your own. And that was something that I had to come across myself through my own self-harm journeys and my own thoughts of ideations and, hurting and harming myself. And I thought that it was very important for me as a person who's been through this to be able to use my platform to speak out and to also raise awareness, right? Because yeah, we do know that men's mental health or mental health awareness month is in June. But when this happened to brother Rondale Moore, I felt so compelled to speak on it. And it's just not brother Rondale Moore. You know what I'm saying? I put together kind of a collage that will be the thumbnail for this video. But I got so many people in here like Anthony Bourdain or like Twitch or like we just mentioned, John Brinkus, Junior Seau. You know what I'm saying? Lee Thompson Young. You guys remember the famous Jet Jackson? He self-harmed himself and he's not here anymore. An amazing actor, a handsome man who had it all. And he left it behind because of his own thoughts and his own depression that he was going through silently. Okay? This is something that is an epidemic, in my opinion, and it needs to be talked about more because these rates are staggering. I hate to say this, but they are extremely staggering. And it was something that I had to talk about because it was so important for me to bring this up. So first, I want to make sure that I make this clear that this may be a trigger warning for a lot of people, not just whoever watches this video, but those who have gone through these type of situations. So I really want to handle this topic with a lot of care and trying to stay as close as I can to the facts and making sure that we always focus on that, because it's very important to look at the statistics so that it can actually back up the things that I'm going to show you guys today, right? And I think it's important because we all need to look at the stats and be, more aware, right, of what we're seeing and the fact that it's happening so much in this country and that no one's talking about it, guys. And it's really, really sad. So we'll start from the top, right? This is from Google. This is the AI overview, and the search was self-harm rates of men in the US, right? So in 2023, the self-harm rates of males in the US was at 22.7% per 100,000. That's nearly 4 times the female rate. Males account for the majority of self-harming, with the rates peaking in older age groups and frequently involving firearms. The rate, while slightly lower than the peak at 23% in 2022, remains near historic highs, guys, historic highs. All right. This is something that, like I just said, this is an epidemic. It is happening at an alarming rate. That's almost 25% of males in America. Okay. That is insane. That is a huge number that is so sad to talk about and so sad to realize that 25% of the population of men in the United States, okay, are literally not making it. Okay. It's so sad that, like, it's hard for, like I said, it's a very triggering topic, guys. And I want you guys to understand that this is not an easy topic to talk about, and it's gonna get dark. All right. So don't be afraid. What up, Randall? Appreciate you always showing up, brother. But don't be afraid to speak on these type of topics and men, right? Because I looked at my statistics, and a big majority of the people who consume my content are men. So men, when I'm speaking to you guys, men, we need to start opening up to one another, because it is literally affecting us at an alarming rate. 25% of the US population of men have died from self-harming. Okay? This is not okay. This is very scary, and it's something that is happening so much, right? And they talk about the gender disparities. Males are nearly 4 times more likely to pass away by self-harming than females, okay? The demographic trends, right? White males have the highest age-adjusted suicide rates at a 25.23% per 100,000. That is alarming. That is alarming. And you know what? That also speaks to when a lot of people are talking about the population, right? The male, white male population has been slowly dwindling down, right? Now, look, I think this could be a big part of that, because 25% of their population is committing self-harm, y'all. That is alarming. That is a huge number that is literally deteriorating their race. Okay, this is a problem. 25%, guys. The age factor, right? In 2023, the highest rates were among adults age 85 and older. Okay, older men. 85 and older, more than likely, what would they be? They would be alone. Maybe their wives passed away. Maybe their families have forgotten about them or neglected them. Maybe they don't have any family. 85 and older at a 23% rate, guys. A 23% rate for people who are 85, who are supposed to be enjoying the last days of their life, and they feel they have nothing to live for. This is sad, man. Like, whew, this is so sad. Method. Of course, firearms are the leading method, accounting for nearly 60% of male self-harming. 60%. Okay. So when we talk about, firearm control and firearm safety, we also have to account for the mental health capacity of having something like that in your possession while you are not right in your mind. What do you think that will do? The ideation, the thoughts of just going in there, grabbing it and saying, F it all, right? We've all been there. We've all been there, but it's just so jarring to think about the fact that literally 60% of the self-harms were based in using a firearm to execute it, man. It's so sad, man. In 2023, construction laborers had the highest rate of self-harming at a 95% rate. 95%. Okay? 95%, guys. These are people who are construction workers. These are people who are working in our world, who are building our world. These guys who are necessary to our lives are taking themselves out at a 95% rate. A 95% rate, guys. This is sad, man. The older racist pink toes are dying off. That's facts. And according to the statistics, they're taking themselves out, Randall. All right? They're taking themselves out. This is so sad, man. Like, I don't even know what to say other than continuing to speak on the facts, because like I said, this is going to be a very triggering topic. It's not going to be easy for a lot of you guys. All right. And I understand that this is going to be hard to speak on, and it's going to be really, really hard to navigate through this topic. And I'm trying my best because it's very, very scary. It is. It's very, very scary. And it's very, very unfortunate. You know what I'm saying? So, contributing factors: lack of mental health diagnosis. Studies indicate that a significant percentage of males who died by self-harming, around 60% from 2016 to 2018, had no known documentation of mental health conditions. Okay. And this speaks to what I always talk about, right? Seeking help, insulating yourself around support. Okay, a support system will save your life. And I know this from personal dealings, okay? The support system and the people around you getting therapy, seeking the help that is necessary will take you out. I can guarantee it, okay? I can guarantee it, okay? Participation factors. What is it? Precipitating factors, okay? Relationship issues, personal crisis, and alcohol use are common factors, all right? This is what I talk about all the time, man. When you're going through depression, when you're going through very sad times in your mind, you believe that no one understands what you're going through. And sometimes they do not, right? Sometimes your experience can be so unique that a lot of people will not be able to understand. But what this proves through the data is that if you open up yourself to help and to support, you will make it. But the fact that people do not do this is a considerable factor of why they don't. All right. And it's so sad because the stigma around mental health issues for men often hinders seeking support, right? Because as men, there's so much on our shoulders day to day, every single day. And I say this all the time. Between men and women, we're in the same earth, but we couldn't be in two opposite realities. And I mean that in the most respectful way. we could not be more opposite when it comes to the reality of the responsibilities and as well the sure weight that men have to hold on their shoulders every single day. The weight of having to constantly be the rock, constantly never showing emotion, constantly having to deal with everything that comes at you and having to constantly be as even keeled and calm when as well you're going through a crisis in your own mind. Okay? This is not easy. And this is something that a lot of men go through every single day, y'all. And it's so unfortunate because this is something that I try to speak on, and I'm using my channel to raise awareness with my platform because I know how many men are suffering right now in silence. They're going through so much, whether it be, like they mentioned, their relationships, financial hardships, having to hold the brunt of the emotions. Okay? Men are always told, hey, man, open up, guys, be more emotional, be more in tune with your emotions. But on the back end of that, there's also the contradiction, right? Of people constantly patronizing men who have been studying and who have been pushing, right? Their own emotional journeys to be able to find peace within themselves, to be able to find the actual comprehension to be able to express themselves, man. Right? This is so sad because it even gets further when you deep dive into Black men, okay? Because this is something that's not talked about in the Black community, which is the self-harm rates, okay? How sad and how much this occurs in our community as well. And it's a big problem, okay? It says self-harm rates among Black men in the United States has risen, particularly among younger individuals, with rates increasing by 11% for Black males from 2020 to 2021. While white males still have the highest overall self-harm rates, Black men die by self-harm at a rate that is more than 4 times that of Black women, often driven by factors like systemic racism, mental health stigmas, and economic stressors. Okay, I always talk about this, how the construct of what Black Americans live underneath every single day and how much that weighs that weight on us, right? As Black men who have to constantly make sure that we are holding the line, staying on code, riding for our people. The responsibility of making sure that our mental health is right on top of fighting, it can be a lot. It can be very exhausting. It can be almost defeating because you feel like it's an uphill battle that you cannot overcome. And that's why I really appreciate the fact that the Google search adds in those factors as systemic racism and the mental health stigmas that happen in the Black community. It is a real problem, and it does constantly break us down and hold us down every single day. And it's so sad because this is something that, you know, has increased, obviously, like they're saying, right? So the self-harm rates for Black males increased to 14.6%. That's almost 15% of our population is taking themselves out. Okay, almost 15%, guys, in the Black community. Almost 15%. How sad is that? All right, we talked about the white male community being at 25%. The Black male community is at 15%. That is literally a huge population of our people who are literally taking themselves out. We always talk about the population dwindling. This is a huge part of it, is because of the systemic racism, mental health stigmas, and economic stressors. And I'm almost compelled to include social media. And I don't know why social media is not included in those parts of what is constantly making an impact on our mental health, it should be included in the statistics. It should be, because we all know how much social media has hindered and has destroyed the mental health of not only men, but women as well. We see it every single day. Children who are going out here harming themselves, young children getting bullied at school constantly. Okay? It's got to be some correlation. And we're going to look that up in the back end, right? But I want to continue on this stat, right? Age and youth. Self-harm rates for Black male youths 10 to 19 have increased faster than any other racial ethnic group, rising by 60% over the past 2 decades. Okay? And what has happened over the last 2 decades? Social media. The influx of social media, the influx of us constantly being on social media is literally deteriorating the youth. A rise of 60% in 2 decades is absolutely insane. In 2022, Black youth were twice as likely to pass away by self-harming compared to their white counterparts. This is why I felt like it was important for me to talk about this, because right now, what we're speaking on is something that is a huge problem in our community. Specifically, like they said, from the ages of 10 to 19, their frontal lobe has not even been developed yet. All right? They haven't even reached their maturity levels, and they are literally self-harming. Okay? Just so sad, man. All right? Firearms are the most common, right, among Black Americans, regardless of age or gender. Obviously, this is something that we talked about. This is a problem with our white counterparts as well. Okay? So look, research indicates that childhood adversity, racial discrimination, and a lack of trust in community support systems contributes to higher rates of self-harm ideation among Black men. All right? And that is just so true, because we've seen over time that the establishment, whether it be medical, pharmaceutical, whatever, have always experimented and treated Black Americans the worst. So naturally, as Black Americans, we do not trust the medical systems. We do not trust pharmaceutical companies. Why? Because of the history. The history has told us to not trust these people because of what they've done to us and our ancestors over time, right? This is something that we saw over time. We've witnessed it and we've seen it. So, with that being said, it creates a certain type of level or a wall that a lot of Black men have up when it comes to getting the help that they need in order to survive. In order to survive, okay? Because we've already gone through so much. And naturally, so many people just don't want to be here because of that. And how sad is that, man? It's just so sad, man. It is so sad, man. I don't know what to say. Within the Black community, men account for 80% of all self-harm deaths. 80%, y'all. I'm just gonna sit with that. 80%. 80% of the self-harms that happen in the Black community are men. %, man. That's terrible. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, for me, you know, I went through my own self-harm situation. And if it wasn't for my mother, my father, my aunt, my uncle, and my ex-fiance, I would not be here today. And I mean that. I mean that. I would not be here today without them, right? They saved my life, okay? And there's a time that you're in where you are not thinking clearly and everything's just kind of falling on your shoulders and you feel the weight of the world on your chest. Can't even breathe. And the fact that there's so many men who deal with this every single day, all right? Every single day, there are men out here dealing with this who are using alcohol, who are using drugs, who are using anything to cope with those depressive feelings and thoughts that are inside of their brain. All right. That's what we're looking at right here. We are looking at an epidemic that is happening. Like they mentioned, over 80% of all the self-harm deaths in the Black community are from men. Men. All right. This is sad, man. And you know, to talk about this, you have to be inspired, right? And I got inspired by brother Jason Wilson, right? The elder Jason Wilson, who has an incredible YouTube channel, who is an incredible man and has a great sense of faith, a man of faith. And he made a video about this, and I wanted to react to it because it really does encapsulate everything that I'm saying, but he speaks on a lot of different points as well. I wanted to just start with the statistics, so then we can now get into the reaction from our brother. All right, so let's listen to my brother, Jason Wilson, sorry.
Shalom, my brothers. I truly hope all is well with you and your families. With a heavy heart, I need to share something sobering and sad. We just lost another young man, another son, another brother, another friend, and another teammate. Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Rondale Moore has taken his own life. And what makes this even more troubling is what this tragedy reveals beneath the surface of success. Men who have platforms, men who have millions, men who have access to therapy, trainers, doctors, and influence are still collapsing internally. I will never forget when Regina King spoke about her son Ian after he took his own life. She shared in an interview that even after therapy and structured programs, he told her, "Mom, I'm tired of talking." Those words were not of a man refusing help. They were the exhaustion of a man who needed something deeper than conversation alone.
And this is something that I speak on all the time, is the fact that there is a specific time period that a lot of men go through. And I don't want to say it's isolation, but it is a part of us feeling like no one understands. So naturally, you retreat. You don't want to be involved. You don't want to talk about it anymore. You don't want to go through it anymore. You just don't want to be here. And I can relate because I've been there, okay? I've been on the edge. I've been right there on the edge, ready to go. And a lot of people don't understand the ideology that goes into that, feeling stuck, feeling compelled to not feel like anyone is supporting you. And unfortunately, those are the thoughts that are constantly in your mind, you know, and it's hard to shake them. It really is.
See, young men are tired of revisiting wounds that never seem to heal, tired of explaining themselves over and over again, tired of trying techniques that don't seem to work outside of their own minds, tired of simply not feeling better. And when talking feels repetitive and relief doesn't come, silence begins to feel easier, feel safer. But silence doesn't reduce suffering. It internalizes it. It magnifies it.
This is what happens, man. This is what we all go through. You feel me? A lot of men who are, and I like to speak on this, who are productive. Men who are productive, men who are working every day, men who are putting it on the line, men who are exhausting every single piece of energy that they have available. They are the ones who also have so much on their shoulders. And they also feel like no one can understand what they're going through. And unfortunately, this is where we're at, because a lot of men who have it all, quote unquote, are the ones who are suffering the most, They're the ones who are suffering the most in silence. They're the ones who have gone through the most and feeling like they're not valued. They're the ones who have gone through the most and not feeling like anyone can understand. All the work, all the time alone, all the effort that they put into not only themselves, but into others. And sometimes for it to not ever be reciprocated is a very, very, very lonely place to be in. And a lot of people just don't get it, man. And so that's why it's just like, I try to do as best as I can with my platform to express to people that this is not an easy thing to do. It's not easy to talk about these topics. It's not easy to do this type of content because I know that a lot of people are not going to watch it because a lot of people don't care. But I do. I truly care about these type of topics because, like I said, I see a problem. I see a problem. They just, like I just mentioned in the stats, 80% of the suicide rates in the Black community are from Black males. 80%. That is a problem. That is a huge problem. And it really needs to be talked about more. So salute to anybody who supports this, man. Let me read in my comments real quick. Salute Courtney. She says, very proud that you touched on such a sensitive topic, but as you highlight, it needs to be discussed. Yes, it does, because there's not a lot of people who are discussing this, man. Salute to my cousin Monea. She says, this is really a great topic. Men's mental health matters. Men, please speak up. You are not alone. Speak to someone, family members, therapists, friends, spouses. Yes, this is important for you to live. I mean this. The only way that you are going to live, if you want to live, okay? This is for those who want to live, all right? Because I know there's some people who just don't, and I can relate, man. I can. But to those who want to live, those who want to be here, you are. I pray to the Most High that you open up. You tell somebody that you need help. You talk to your spouse. You talk to your friends. You talk to your family. Even if you have to go outside, okay, to a therapist, there's a self-harm phone number that you can call, 988. If you are ever feeling like you can't make it, like it's too much and you don't want to talk to anybody personally, there is a specific place made for you, made for us to go if we have to. All right. This is important. These resources are there for us. We just have to express them and use them. Okay. We'll get back to the video, man.
Psychologically, this is where learned helplessness begins to take root. A man starts believing it doesn't matter what I do, nothing ever changes. And once a man believes his effort has no positive effect, his suffering becomes his identity.
I told you guys about this, man, that a lot of men put in a lot into themselves, into their families, into their friends, into their careers, into, the community, and for it to never be reciprocated. All right. It is a thankless job being a provider. It is a thankless job being a productive male in society. It is a thankless job because that's expected of us, right? It is expected of us to always make sure that we are on point, to always make sure that we have the perfect emotional regulation. It is important for us to be a rock. But that is just not realistic in our world. It's not. Maybe before social media, that was possible because all you had was what was in front of you. There was no existential focus on anything else other than what was in front of you. But now with the influx of social media, there's so much that comes at us. So many people rewriting what a man is, telling us what we're supposed to be doing, how we're supposed to be doing, the money we're supposed to be making, the things we're supposed to have. There are a lot of men who get very depressed with these conversations. All right. There are a lot of men who have to feel inadequate because of what they see. All right. Your eyes don't lie. What you see. All right. You're constantly looking out and realizing that I'm inadequate because I don't have what John has, or I don't have what Joseph has, or I don't have what Michael has. How am I ever going to be enough for anyone? How am I ever going to be enough for my family? How am I ever going to be enough for my spouse? How am I ever going to be enough for my kids? I can't provide enough for them. I can't give them what the next father may be able to. How does that mean? What does that mean? In reality, we all know that you being here is not for no reason. All of us have a life. We are all here for a purpose. We are here for a reason. Okay? And it's not just about how much money you make. It's not just about how much you can provide and do whatever for everybody else. No. This life is more than just that, man. And a lot of men deal with this silently, feeling inadequate, feeling insecure, feeling like they don't have enough to give when they've given everything that they got. They've given everything, okay? Given everything, and it's still not enough. That is a very, very lonely place to be. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because I've been there, giving everything, giving my all, everything that I can give, and it still felt like it wasn't enough. And I was ready to go. If this ain't enough, then what the fuck am I doing here? If this ain't enough, if I'm not enough, why am I here? And it dawned on me. It had to dawn on me through my parents. It had to dawn on me through my aunts and uncles. It had to dawn on me through my ex-fiance that you are important. You are a piece of our family that is necessary for us to live. Okay? My parents, my family, I know if I was to go, if I was to not be here, it would devastate them. They would never be the same. I can't live with myself knowing that. I couldn't live with myself doing that to my mother, doing that to my father, doing that to my aunts and uncles and my cousins, my friends, my family. I could never do that. My colleagues, my coworkers, people who I've spent significant amount of time with, I could never do that to them because I understand how important my life is to them, even though I didn't have any value in my own life. You get me? Like, this is how it feels. You know what I'm saying?
That is a dangerous place to be, my brothers, because anger still fights. Despair still resists. But apathy surrenders. And truthfully, many young men today are not just tired, they are exhausted. Exhausted from performing, exhausted from carrying expectations, exhausted from being the strong one all the time.
This is what it is, man. This is the weight. Okay. Like I said, as men, I'm not saying that we better or nothing like that. All I'm saying is that men and women live in the same world, but we couldn't be in two alternate realities. Okay. The responsibilities and the pressures that are put on men every single day is no comparison to what is put on women. And I mean that in the most respectful way. Okay. Because at the end of the day, with great yeah, we'll keep it going. Just with a great heart, we have to always keep this in mind, man. We always have to keep this in mind that this is just we're living in an alternate reality as men and women. We come together and we build. But at the end of the day, when we go out into the world and we have to provide and we have to make money and we have to go ahead and make sure that we're sustainable and productive, it is not the same. It's not.
Exhausted from feeling like everyone's cares is their responsibility, but healing is their burden alone. Misconstrued masculinity is real. From childhood, boys are subtly trained, don't complain, don't cry, suck it up, don't be dramatic. Be useful, be productive, be impressive, and stay strong.
And this is when, as well, things flip. When a man loses his purpose, right? When he gets, let's say, let go from his career that he's had for over 25 years. Or for instance, if he's an athlete and he gets hurt and he can never be the same like he was before. This is detrimental to the purpose of what men are. Every man needs a purpose. Every man looks for his purpose. Every man is trying to find his place in this world that he can say, this is what I'm here to do. This is why I'm here. So when that is taken away from you, your identity, everything is shook. Okay? Everything changes. You are no longer who you thought you were. Imposter syndrome takes over. Am I who I say I am? Is it possible for me to go through this and make it through? The doubts, the depression, the self-loathing that comes from that, a lot of men don't recover, man. A lot of men don't make it. A lot of men, when they lose their purpose, they lose their life. And that's just facts. They lose their life once their purpose is gone from them. Once it's gone, there is no more. Okay? And it's very sad and unfortunate, man. I hate this. I hate this, bro.
And when that boy makes it in professional sports, that pressure multiplies. Their body is evaluated. Their performance is graded. Their value is negotiated. And when their worth becomes confused with performance, an internal struggle feels like a threat to their identity. So they keep producing. They keep showing up. They keep smiling, and privately they unravel and implode.
And that's the facade, right? I talked about this, that wall. We go into blinder mode. We feel like, okay, well, if I just work harder, if I just put more into this, if I just keep going, I'll get over this. And it never works that way. If you do not seek the help that is necessary to build tools for you to be able to sustain, you will not make it. And a lot of men don't take that time to sit with themselves and say, hey, man, I need to really get my mind right. I need to really get my mentality together because I'm so affected right now that I can't even really comprehend what's going on. And unfortunately, we see this constantly every single day. And like I said, the rates are continuing to grow. All right. 80% Black men in the Black community are self-harming themselves. All right. 80% is just, that's a problem.
This is the loneliness of public success. You can be surrounded and still feel alone and unseen. You can be applauded and still feel never enough. Emotional and mental fatigue without relief turns into apathy, and apathy turns into surrender.
This is something that I talk about is when I'm looking sometimes in the mirror and I think about the times and the rough things that I've been through, I'm always reminded of the fact that I can never go back from what happened. You know what I'm saying? There is no coming back. And the fact that I was able to make it through, I knew that my relationship would not have been the same either. And that's something that a lot of men don't speak on. Is it's very hard, not only for your family, but for your spouse. And if you don't get the necessary couples therapy and help, that trauma will permeate through your entire relationship. It will never go away. And if you guys as a couple don't work on that, the trauma will be too much to overcome. The guilt that I felt being in my past relationship and going through what I went through, I felt so guilty about staying in the relationship because I knew that the trauma that had been created from that very traumatic day was going to be really, really hard to overcome in the future. And that was something that I had to deal with on my own. I had to sit with that. I had to think about that. I had to address that within myself. And it wasn't easy, man. It's never easy because you're always going to have regrets. You know, I wish I would have did this or that, but we're all just living life, man. And we're doing the best that we can. And there is no playbook to this. You know, we're all just trying our best, you know.
The fight quietly ends inside a man long before anyone notices. When a man cannot locate purpose beyond his performance and cannot locate identity beyond achievement and cannot locate hope beyond outcomes, he begins to ask questions that frightens him, like, who am I without success? Who am I when I'm not useful? Who am I when I'm tired?
A man, like I said, who brings no value to the world is empty. We all want to bring value. We all want to bring something to the table. We all want to be in our purpose. But the reality of that is sometimes things happen in life and we may lose sometimes that identity. We may lose sometimes that career. We may lose sometimes that passion that we thought was going to be our future. So who are you after that? Who are you after everything is said and done? Who are you once you've gone through all this stuff? Who have you become? Right? And that's what I had to work on. I had to figure out who I was outside of the music industry, who I was outside of just being a DJ, who I was outside of just being a producer, who I was outside of being a business owner. I had to find that because so much of my life in the very beginning was all dedicated on the fashion industry and the music industry. That's all my life entailed. That's all I was. And once those things were taken away from me, I felt some type of way. I felt like I was not useful anymore. I felt like I just didn't have it. And that's far from true because I have so much to bring to the table. I have so much that I can bring to anybody's plate. But when you're in those thoughts, when you're in that mindset, you don't think that way. You don't. I'm going to let this play.
Who am I if I don't have money? And if those questions go unanswered long enough, his silence becomes a death sentence. Now, let me be unequivocally clear. This message is not reactionary. It is diagnostic. We are idly watching a pattern. Young, successful men with access and influence are still losing the internal war. This tells us that therapy alone isn't the answer. Success alone isn't the answer. Money alone isn't the answer. Men need something deeper. They need connection that is not transactional, identity that is not performance-based, brotherhood that is not superficial. They need spaces where they can say, I'm not okay, and not feel disqualified. It is written in Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 10 that woe to the one who falls when there is not another one there to lift him up. See, these young...
This is what I talk about, man. Having a support system around you, having somebody to lift you up when you are down, even if it may be your mom, even if it may be your cousin, your best friend, whoever, okay? It doesn't necessarily have to be a spouse, but if you do have one, if you are lucky enough to have one, you should lean on them. Don't hold it in. Don't keep it to yourself. That was one of my biggest regrets and mistakes. I kept so much to myself, and I should have alleviated that pressure and that weight off of my shoulders in my spouse. I should have. And that's a lesson learned, right? You go through these things to learn these lessons. But at the time, I wasn't thinking that way. I wasn't. I was thinking about myself. I was thinking about what would grow within me and who I wanted to, look like and be, the stature that I wanted to keep and uphold, which wasn't realistic at all, because all it did was make things worse,
Men need mature, comprehensive men who listen to them without correcting them immediately. Men who remind them that struggle is not disqualification. And spiritually, let me say this, the Most High does not require you to be strong before you come to him. For it is written that we are to cast our cares upon him, for he cares about us. And if you have cares, my brother, that means you are carrying weight. It is not weakness to have burdens or to share that you do. It is reality. And it is impossible for any man to be strong all the time. The Most High just requires you to come to him. It also is written that when you are weak, the power of Christ is perfected through you. And it is also written that If you draw nigh to Yah, the Most High, he will draw nigh to you. My brothers, please hear me. The most dangerous moment in a man's life is not when he is angry or furious. It is when he is empty. See, fury still fights, but emptiness folds even the strongest of men. And when a man begins to believe that relief is impossible, he stops looking for it. And that is when we, those who have been down but have risen, must step in. Not with lectures, not with clinical distance, not with platitudes, but with presence.
This video inspired me, man. It made me want to do this because I saw that there wasn't nobody talking about this, especially men who look like us. Okay, nobody's talking about this. Like I said, this will be kind of a video that I add to my catalog, but I know when it comes to the topic and the subject matter, this will not track. It's not going to hit the algorithm like any other video would. It's probably going to sit, and that's okay because I want to create content that maybe later down the line I can come back and reference this, right? Because we already talked about John Brinkus. Now we're talking about Rondell Moore, but everybody in between, before and after, it is important that we do this right here on my channel because I don't care about the views. All right. I don't care about what people want to react to and all this stuff. I'm going to do what's inspiring to me and things that make me feel like this is a purpose. Like I'm actually doing something here. Because just chasing trending topics, man, I've never been that type of person. I speak on things that are relevant, but I always try to put my own unique swang and twang on things and always make sure that I'm not just following trending topics. I'm speaking on things that are actually I'm passionate about and I have some experience with. And this topic, this is the type of stuff that I'm continuing to build my channel around. And I don't care about the views. I do not.
A strategic shepherding presence. We cannot stop every tragedy, but we can interrupt silence. We can normalize struggle. We can refuse to let exhaustion become our identity.
Yes, sir.
And we can teach young men something revolutionary. You are not valuable because you perform. You are valuable because you exist.
You are valuable because you exist. Okay? You are valuable because you exist. I repeat, you are valuable because you exist. All right? That is important. You are here for a reason. You are put here for a reason. The Most High didn't put you here for no reason. You are here. You are rare. No one else in this world will ever be you. So do not take anything for granted. You are important. You are valuable. My brothers, you guys are. You are valuable. We need you. I need you. Everyone needs you. Don't feel like you aren't. You are 100% here for a reason, guys.
For it is written that before you existed on earth, Yah the Most High foreknew you in your mother's womb, and you were fearlessly and wonderfully made. I pray that truth alone change your trajectory. If you are a professional athlete watching this video right now, please know you are not tired of living. You're tired of not living. The Most High Yah didn't create you to be graded by a scout or coach. The Most High Yah didn't create you to be anyone's ATM. And the Most High Yah definitely didn't create you to be anyone's savior. The only film you should be concerned about is the one being recorded of you in heaven. Freedom from facade, my brothers, does not come from pretending you're okay. It comes from being honest that you're not. If you're tired of talking, tired of explaining, tired of feeling like nothing changes, please do not retreat into silence, because silence doesn't protect you when your thoughts are toxic to your existence. It compresses you, and compression can fold metal. And my brothers, you're not a man of steel. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, hopeless, or considering ending your life, please reach out right now to someone who can support you in real time. If you are in the United States, you can call or text 988 to reach the Crisis Lifeline.
This is the hotline I just spoke on earlier, guys. If you are going through anything, having thoughts, having, very depressive times, this is it right here. 988. Call, text, chat. It's anonymous. If you feel like you cannot open up to anyone, 988, man. 988. Okay? Because at the end of the day, this is a big part of who we are. Who we are as men is based in our mental health and our stability and us being strong and us being mentally strong and connected spiritually to something that is outside of us. You'll never feel that level of purpose without that. And as well, I have to speak on this because I'm gonna clip this, whatever, but this is who you have responsibility to, your inner child, this person right here. Don't let your inner child down, guys. This person is relying on you to change and to work on those traumas that have brought you here today. My inner child, I always think about this. I always look at pictures of myself and I think about how far I've come and the things that I've been through and the responsibilities that I have to that young me who wanted everything in this world. And I'm just so grateful to my family and to my friends who kept me here and who kept me out of harm's way and who've always supported me, right, wrong, or indifferent. And we all need that. We all need that support. We all need that inner child. Don't forget that person. Don't forget that that inner child is inside of you. And what would they think if you didn't make it? What would they think if you didn't try to keep going? What would they think if you quit? Okay? You are uniquely designed to be here. The Most High wants you here. You were created for a purpose. You were created for a reason. This is why you are here. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever allow yourself to lose sight of that. Always stay true to who you are. And if you are going through something, don't be afraid, because everybody is holding something in their heart. Everybody has something on their shoulders. Everybody has something that they're dealing with. As men, yes, it is the standard for us to always keep things inside and to focus on ourselves and to not allow the emotions to get the better of us. But in reality, that's just not realistic because we are humans. We're not robots. So don't allow yourself to be stuck in that ideology thinking that you always have to be tough. You always have to be emotionless. You always have to be a rock. No. What you need to do is open up. What you need to do is go and seek help if you need that. What you need to do is go outside and touch some grass and get connected with something outside of yourself. Emotional regulation is based in what? Internally coming together, stopping and saying, hey, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? Taking a moment with our own selves and our own emotions. Okay. And then as well, expressing that. If you have a spouse, like I said, if you're lucky enough to have a spouse, express yourself to them. Don't hold it in. Don't let that whole weight just be on your shoulders. I always talk about this from a true perspective, right? Because we have a lot of people who hop on YouTube and the internet, like I said, is not a real place. Everybody's, super player 9/11 and they got it all. But in reality, if you have somebody that you with and you're going through these type of things help your relationship get better. But if you hold it in and you do not express yourself and you keep it, I can guarantee you It will deteriorate your relationship. Your relationship will never be the same after this. And this is only for brothers who want to be in a relationship. If you want to be single, that's fine. But if you have a spouse, if you have somebody that you're with and you're going through these thoughts and you're having these type of ideas and ideations, you need to let it go and express it to your spouse and your partner. It will only help you guys' relationship and the bond. If you do not do that, it will build a wall that cannot be gone through. And I mean that. I've been there, okay? I have gone through that in my own life, in my own experiences, and I ruined relationship because of that. I always have to live with those regrets, but that's okay because I can hold that. I've done the work. I put in the time that was necessary for me to be able to look myself in the mirror and say, you know what? You made a mistake and that's okay. It's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be open. It's okay to express yourself. Because if you don't, it will be your demise. And I mean that. I mean that. It will be something that holds you back from being the man or woman that you need to be. It will. And that's all the experience that I could really give you, because like I said, with my channel, I have no problems expressing myself because I'm a real person in the real world. I'm not a fake individual who's going to come on here and lie to you guys and tell you guys something that ain't true or tell you something that I have not had personal experience in. And these type of topics, God just blesses me with them. He just gives it to me. And I felt something when I watched that video from brother Jason Wilson. I felt that. I felt that energy, and I said, this is something that I have to talk about because I've talked about it in the past, all right? During Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, when John Brink has passed away, a legend for sports science and ESPN, I grew up watching his show. As a young athlete myself, I grew up watching sports science. So when he passed away, you're like, whoa. And then, like I said, everyone in between. We're talking about Rondell Moore. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about him, but there's plenty more. Robin Williams. Like I said, Lee Thompson Young, famous Jet Jackson, just a great person. I grew up watching him. He was from Long Beach, like Junior Seau, Twitch, Anthony Bourdain. I mean, we can keep going. Successful men who have taken their own lives because of the sadness and depression that they went through and that they felt like nobody would understand. This topic is really hard for me, y'all. It's a very hard topic, man, because I see that the society that we live in and where we're at right now, nobody really care about this stuff, y'all. And it's unfortunate. It is, because everybody should be talking about this. Everybody should be talking about the stats I just discussed. Everybody should be talking about what's happening in our communities, but they're not. They're not. Because men, like I said, men, nobody cares, bro. And that's how a lot of men feel. And unfortunately, it is what it is, y'all. And I just hope that whoever watches this video, whoever comes across this stream, I hope that you guys know that you're important. I hope that you guys know that you are loved and that you are important to this world and you are born for a reason. Don't do or make a permanent decision from an emotional moment. Don't finalize and make a conclusion when your story is still being written. Okay? So I'm going to leave you guys with that, man, because like I said, this is something that I'm passionate about, and I'm going to keep speaking on these topics until it hits the algorithm. You know what I'm saying? Because this is something that needs to be talked about. And I only hope that you guys can take some time and sit with this topic and try your best to rationalize with me and helping push this conversation forward to where we want it to be. Okay. So much love to everybody out there, man. We appreciate you guys, and I appreciate all the new subscribers that have been coming along and helping this channel grow, because we wouldn't be able to grow this channel without y'all. So you guys make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure you leave some comments, man, encouraging to other brothers. I don't know if you even come across this video, you know what I'm saying? Because who knows what the algorithm is going to do these days, you know what I'm saying? But I can only hope that you guys come across this in a positive mindset, and you guys can pass it along, and hope that other brothers can catch the same vibe. You know what I'm saying? So salute to everybody out there, man. My name is Brandon B. I'm part of Elite Media, and I'm out, man. Peace.